I'm only making this video to show the arrogance of the free market and people's capital. You know, I was watching the news and apparently they shut down an airport because there was a box cutter on the airplane. Ooh, I can't imagine one good reason why there would be a box cutter on a plane. Oh wait, maybe because there were boxes on the plane and you cut a box with a box cutter. I mean, you could also cut it with a knife, but God forbid you should carry an actual knife. You could probably cut it with a scissor too, but a scissor looks even more dangerous than a box cutter, because box cutters have that plastic casing around it. Even scissors don't have that, and scissors are intended for children. So they're getting all bent out of shape over a fucking box cutter, and they shut down the airport for a solid half hour or something, and it slows down everything. Everyone has to wait because someone misplaced their fucking box cutter. And all of this because of one event that happened like 10 years ago, and no one gives a shit. That's it. You know, as much as we love to talk about other countries and their problems and make fun of them and judge them for their dictatorships or for their, you know, shitty government. Look at Russia. We all make fun of Russia's corrupt system and how we say that only Vladimir Putin only won because he rigged the election. But meanwhile, do you think Russia would give a shit about a box cutter on a plane over one little event? No. They're not that freaking self-absorbed. They're not that pussy where one sole rogue attack is going to change their entire perception of self-defense. And, you know, we can argue all day long about whether it was all a subplot of the Illuminati or how, you know, it's all the government, they staged 9/11. I don't care. Whether they staged it or not, people accept it. People go along with it. So it's not the government's fault. It's not the Illuminati's fault. It's your fault. Because you still choose to accept those rules. They're not the rules of the law. They're the rules of capital ownership. Private airlines do not represent the fucking law. They are just some guy who's counting his dollars as he makes you follow these draconian sub-guides. That's all it is. Don't do it. He's not the fucking law. He's not a senator. He's not the president. He's not a judiciary branch. He's not even an FBI or cop. He's just some guy that owns capital. And he expects you to follow ridiculous rules or you don't get to ride a plane. Maybe then you should come up to him with a box cutter and threaten to cut out his liver if you don't get to go on a fucking plane and get where you need to go. Because you got a life. You got places you need to be. You don't have time for this fucking bullshit. That's what you need to be thinking about. And, you know, the only reason why I've never said this before is because I like it. I like the fact that there's all this rigid, you know, stupid, bizarre security. Now, why do I like it? Do I like body searches and people being tormented by authoritarian regimes that aren't even legitimate and just the result of too much private enterprise? Of course not. But it slows down business. That's what these laws do. Well, I say laws, but really just rules. These rules slow down business because businessman can't get from point A to point B because every so often, you know, a box cutter gets misplaced and, they slow down the airline for about half an hour. And that's a half an hour of business time. Time is money. So, that's one good reason. However, most rich people have their own private airlines. And you notice personal jets and things don't stop just because somebody left their box cutter in their pocket. So maybe that should tell you something. And the only reason why I'm bringing this video up at all is because this is the logistics of people and why we have these problems on the internet where we get banned and censored and oppressed and bullied and terrorized by moderators who think they can do whatever they want and there's no accountability on their part because you are convinced You have convinced yourself that you need them because of the trolls, because of the child porn, because of the cyberbullying. It's all bullshit. None of that stuff really affects you. In the rare event it does, there are easy means to counter it. But you want the tyranny. You want the control. You love being patted down and searched and ridiculed and looked down upon and having to go through an x-ray machine and having to write forms and having to stand in line and wait an extra half an hour to do what you gotta do. You like that shit. Not me. Because if you didn't like it, you would stand up more. You would do shit. You would refuse and make it an aggravating process every single time. Every single time your post got deleted, you'd repost it over and over and over and over. You'd spam that forum with it. Every time they ban you, you'd get back on the forum over and over. Spam, bam, just keep posting. Wipe your ass with their rules. Make them have to work to oppress you. Make them have to work to tell you what to do, to enforce their rules upon you. That would show me that you actually meant what you said and that you don't want to be told what to do and you believe that human beings should basically be left alone to their own devices. But you don't believe that, especially libertarians. Libertarians are the worst of the worst. They are the scum of the earth. And as much as they talk about, you know, all this shit, all these anti-terror laws and everything, they want it most of all. Because it's their private airlines doing it. It's their private cable companies cutting off people's internet service because of downloading a torrent. It is private companies, banning everybody and censoring everybody on a mass multitude scale. It's always private industry. And if you don't realize that, you're clinically retarded. That's all I have to say.